So I welcome you at the Eco-Friendly Living in Prague workshop that I can organize with the lovely Verča and Integration Center Prague, where I was also on a internship, and that's how I learned about the existence of Integration Center Prague. I was writing my master thesis about intercultural work. So that's a very interesting topic, by the way. So I encourage you to also look into that if you don't know yet about the work of intercultural workers in Prague. Here, already the first thing that I would like to mention is that these lovely photos are from the Instagram of a zero-waste shop called Bezobalo. That's written like in the center picture with the soap. Yes, and I will try to reference where I have the lovely pictures from, because I wouldn't want to take credit, because they are really allowed me to create this beautiful presentation. Yes, and then in the corner there is the separating containers for waste. That's from site Zero Waste Česko. So who am I and why am I here presenting this topic is, my name is Alexandra. I actually have Polish parents, but I grew up in Prague, which is why I can tell you something about Prague. But currently I am in Germany and planning to stay there for a longer time. But I still remember something about Prague. I moved just a half a year ago. So I'm happy to share this knowledge with you. And I studied social work, but I'm also very interested in sustainability and sustainable growth and eco lifestyle, and how we can try to develop things in a more environmentally friendly way. And here is the overview. So there will be the first part of this presentation is a bit more theoretical. I'll try to not make it too boring, but I think actually it could be interesting to look at the first part of the question of why people who are trying to live a bit more sustainably or zero waste, why they avoid plastic. So the first part of the presentation deals a lot with plastic and how it's produced and how it's recycled and what happens to it when we don't use plastic products anymore. And then we have the break. Maybe it's going to be later, depending on how the time goes. And then there will be a longer part with different solutions and alternatives in Prague. And according to, I kind of try to organize it into different topics, kind of food, personal hygiene, clothing. Some things will repeat, but hopefully it shall be interesting. So without any further ado, I want to just quickly define the two terms that I shall be working with, because I already mentioned zero waste. It was also mentioned in the associations in associations to the word eco-friendly. Zero waste, probably quite a number of you know, since most of you are on the way, is a term for a lifestyle which attempts to minimize one's waste. This photo that I chose to illustrate this term is quite, one could say, typical or a kind of a symbol of this movement that one tries to minimize, especially plastic waste, because that's the one that we deem as the most harmful to the environment. However, as more people are part of the movement, and there are also influencers and YouTubers and zero waste creators kind of are reflecting this need to acknowledge that zero waste doesn't mean that one doesn't produce any waste, or it's not even about stuffing all of your plastic waste into one jar. It's about a whole approach where one thinks about the impact one has on the environment. And usually this is connected to, one could say now stereotypically, zero waste products such as stainless steel lunch boxes or reusable bottles or bamboo brushes and such. There's another term that is not as well known as far as I can say, low impact, that was coined by the creator Sustainable Vegan, who exactly voiced this kind of discomfort with the word zero waste and what it implies. And so she came up with the word low impact, and she started the low impact movement, which is also very interesting Instagram channel, I'm not sure, account probably is the word. So I recommend you follow it if that is interesting to you. I prefer personally the word low impact, also because zero waste has this kind of harshness to it, one could say, because it has this ideal of trying to avoid everything, and that could lead to a perfectionistic mindset of obsessing every single piece of plastic, which can have negative impact on your health, mental health, to say the least, and also is unfortunately impossible because we are not living in a zero waste friendly system yet, hopefully. So I prefer to use the word low impact, but you will see both of these words in this presentation because in many circles it became kind of the key word that then attracts the same people together. So for example, in Czech Republic, there was a Zero Waste Festival. I will talk about it later. Very likely it will stay a Zero Waste Festival. It will not change to Low Impact Festival or something because people already got used to the word. So, but what low impact means to me is a holistic framework which allows for a reflection of the different factors which contribute to our carbon footprint and overall impact on the environment. So it's not just about whether I'm using plastic or not, but it's also about, for example, if it's a bamboo toothbrush, what kind of impact it has on the environment. How much water it took to produce this bamboo brush, thinking about different types of whether it's good that it's recyclable, or is it more important that it's sturdy and that it will last a long time? Yeah, and further questions are, what kind of energy do I use? Do I use energy from renewable resources? What kind of whether I'm buying, for example, fair trade clothing or fair trade produced, I don't know, a phone. These are all for me a kind of part of this thinking right now, and that's why I kind of enjoy these workshops, because it opens up this possibility for people to think about it more broadly. But I enjoy these discussions already because I'm on the a few years on the way. So I'll come back to the basics now. Before I start with the explanation of plastic and different sides to plastic, I just wanted to acknowledge one of the biggest sources for this presentation, a YouTuber with the name of Gitte Marie Johansen, who lives in Denmark, zero waster and a vegan, and has a lovely Instagram feed. So quite a number of pictures in this presentations are from her Instagram. And I find her videos very informative. And what's cool is that she is based in Europe. There are quite a number of interesting zero waste influencers and creators who are based, for example, in the United States or in UK. So with these, I just wanted to point out that when they recommend products that are local, that can be problematic, because in zero, one could say that in the sustainable movement, local products are important, but when it's a zero waste influencer, for example, from the UK or the United States, what's local for them is not local for us. So I just wanted to underline that she could be a good source of inspiration, because at least she's European, and yeah, that is that. So what's wrong with plastic? That was a long introduction. I shall try to go a bit more structured. Plastic comes from crude oil. So that's already the first point one could think about, that if we're trying to build a system that's less dependable on non-renewable resources, then plastic is probably not a good product to get used to. Crude oil is extracted by pumping or fracking, as probably you know, which both of these methods include the gases carbon dioxide, methane to be emitted, which adds to the climate change. There is the pollution of groundwater, destruction of habitats. In short, it's not environmentally friendly to produce, to mine the original thing that we use in order to produce plastic. From crude oil, we get ethylene, which is the basic component for the production of plastic. And here, before I come to the point where plastic is necessary, I just wanted you to have the opportunity to guess how many minutes do you think that we use a plastic product for in average before we discard it? It's 12. Yeah, so it's not much. And considering that it stays here forever because plastic doesn't compose like an apple does, or a piece of wood, or a piece of paper. It's just kind of breaks apart into tinier and tinier plastics, but these don't decompose. And here, this is both kind of the best thing about plastic and its curse, because the fact that it's not compostable means that it's very hygienic. It's good to, that's why where it's necessary and where it does a lot of good, you could say, is in medicine, because it enables many procedures to be, I could say, hygienic, because you can have products, gloves that you just take off, masks that you just throw away. You can, different tools out of plastic, and it's much easier to keep everything clean and hygienic and to prevent different infections spreading very effectively. So that's kind of the first point where I want to say, yes, it's important. Plastic could be very counterproductive, because, and is counterproductive, because then people who take it very seriously, and yeah, we take it very, very seriously, let's say, then can go to a hospital and have bad kind of bad feelings about having to be operated on, because it's going to produce a lot of plastic, and that shouldn't be the point. So yeah, we have to see kind of that it has its advantages, and that's why it's we should think about reducing, not completely kind of banning, or, but that's also up to debate. So I am fully open for someone to opinion to say, no, we should ban it completely and find completely new materials that we could then replace also in such vital fields as in medicine. Yeah. Then just the last point, there are also health concerns about plastic. For example, when plastic comes into contact with heat, so especially some types of plastic, when they come into contact with hot food, let's say, they release carcinogenic molecules, let's say, and that's simply not healthy. So we should think about getting fast food, or like even allowing the fact that we can get fast food in certain types of plastic, because it's not good for the consumers. Yes. Here is another graph, so I shall probably torture you with another guessing game. Here you can guess which percent. So there are 3 options. You can see 3 percentages: 9%, 12%, and 79%. And one denotes recycled, one incinerated, and one. So what happens after to plastic? I should probably explain that. What happens to plastic after we use it and we throw it into the bin? Now, it doesn't matter whether the bin is the one where plastic is supposed to be recycled, or plastic in general, like you throw it into the bin in the park, for example. So one of the options is that it is recycled. Second option is that it's incinerated, so it's burnt. And the third option is that it ends up in landfill or in ocean. Here it is. Yeah, and these data are from the year 2015, so they're slightly older, and this is global data. So they're an approximation, you could say, but in general, we are very bad at recycling plastic, but not because it would be so difficult or so demanding, It's because we consume and we produce so much plastic that most of the recycling facilities are not keeping up. And also because the freedom to design bottles in whatever way, shape, or form, or combination of different types of plastic or different colors makes recycling very difficult. Yes, so here is a bit more to the afterlife of plastic. Plastic is also not preferred by, you could say, people who advocate for sustainable lifestyle, because it can be recycled only 2 to 3 times before it loses its quality. And only with each recycling, also it's usually mixed with virgin plastic, which means with newly produced plastic from crude oil. This means that it's much less, even when it's recycled, it's already prone to being downcycled. This means that instead of, for example, a bottle being recycled into a new bottle, a bottle is recycled into kind of like plastic foam that's then used in sleeping bags, to line sleeping bags, or it's recycled into some material that's of lesser quality. So this is a big difference when you compare it, for example, to glass, which can be infinitely recycled as long as it's kept, you could say, the colors separate, or different types of metals like aluminium or steel. These can be recycled infinitely. There are different caveats with these metals and glass, that it takes a lot of energy to recycle them, because they have to be melted, and that requires a lot of energy to have so much heat in order for it to melt. But that's another discussion. Therefore, what happens to the plastic that's not recycled? It ends up in landfills where it degrades, it releases carbon dioxide and methane, like the whole landfill does, and quite a lot of methane. I was surprised to learn that 23% of all man-produced, so humans-produced methane, comes from landfills. Interesting. And usually landfills are kind of open spaces. It's not like the whole thing is sealed, so it quite often pollutes groundwater and comes into rivers, and through the rivers into the oceans. And in the oceans, most of plastics are quite light, so they float, which is why we can see them when they float, and because they float, yeah. And because they float at the surface, that means that they're exposed to sunlight. And when they're exposed to sunlight, they become brittle, and they break up into smaller pieces. And then these smaller pieces into tinier pieces, and they become microplastics. And these microplastics are then mistaken by organisms to be tiny pieces of food. So the organisms in the seas eat the food. Those organisms are eaten by the fish. Bigger fish eat the smaller fish. We eat the fish, so now we are full of plastic too. And plastic is like junk food, you could say, because it has no calories. I mean, it's literally no calories. It's part of now the ecosystem, and it's absolutely kind of useless. So many animals feel full, but then they starve to death because they are full of plastic, which is not every usable material for them, for their bodies to grow. Yes, very bleak. And here is the last bleak slide, I promise. No more bleakness. And there are a couple of big patches in the ocean. The patches are kind of like islands of floating trash, islands of floating, usually plastic, different types of trash. And one of the biggest ones is in the Pacific. There's like the Western and Eastern garbage patch. And it was analyzed, and 49% of it comes from the consumer waste, and over 50% comes from the fishing industry, which I only learned through the documentary on Netflix called Seaspiracy, which is quite an interesting documentary and quite sad, to be honest, but I would recommend it. I am afraid that it's only available on Netflix now. So yeah, but I really recommend it. So another kind of point is actually that if you want to make kind of influence the fact that there is less plastic pollution in the ocean. Not eating fish is quite a good idea, but that's another topic as well. But still, there is 49% of consumer waste. And what is in the consumer waste? There are, for example, water bottles, cigarette butts, cotton swabs, etc. Why do I write all of these here down in a long list? Because this is actually a good place to start, I think. Why do people like zero waste creators or people who support sustainable lifestyle say that we have to replace different things? You could just go through the list and see actually what are the things that are usually kind of supported by zero waste creators. Water bottles, have a reusable water bottle. Cigarette butts, I mean, yeah, smoking, well, that's another topic. Cotton swabs, reusable cotton swabs, or compostable ones. Different hygiene products. We shall talk about different zero waste alternatives to that. Plastic bags, have cotton bags or different reusable bags. So you can just go through this list and kind of think, this is the zero waste alternative that we're trying to kind of spread. The more people have this one and use this one instead of the plastic one time use and then throw away plastic. Yes, I see that you're.
We actually have a question connected to this, so if I can maybe ask it now. Laura is asking, how does the consumer waste ends up in the ocean?
Okay, yes, that's a very good question. The main thing is actually landfills. So, and the landfills, I saw a very interesting map that there is just, it's a difficult topic. Some countries contribute to this kind of waste problem more than other countries, and mostly countries which do not have a good recycling system and who dump everything into landfills. But this is a more complex problem because, for example, there's one of the sources that I will then link in the document that we will send you after this event, is a very good study which showed that you can imagine it like this. There's a landfill, there's a lot of plastic, nearby is a river, and slowly the wind blows, the landfill becomes bigger and bigger because we produce more and more plastic. There's not enough recycling facilities to take it, so it just grows. It spills into the river, and then through the river, it goes through the whole country until it reaches the sea and the ocean. And then in the ocean, there are different streams, such as different kind of the stream network of faster, how would I say, faster going water. And these are kind of regular, and that's why they kind of bring the trash, and these are kind of like big swirls that are swirling in certain places, and there the trash accumulates. And that's why you end up with trash and water. It's actually not that often that people just come to the sea and they just throw the trash into the sea. That's not usually how it happens, although it does happen, and there are also people littering the beaches. But that's a tiny amount. If it were just that, it wouldn't be such a big problem. Another thing is that even though that, for example, we have a very good, you could say, comparably good recycling system in Europe, we used to, I'm not sure whether we still do, because the situation has changed. We export quite a lot of waste to China and to different countries in Asia. So practically trying to hide the problem, not leave it in Europe, but send it to Asia. And then in Asia, actually, most of the rivers are then filled with different trash, quite often also European trash, which then ends up in the ocean because there aren't enough facilities to recycle it. So it's you could say, global problem that we have, you could say, quite sophisticated recycling systems in Europe, but we ship quite a lot of non-recycled things from landfills to other countries, and then those countries are overwhelmed, and then it ends up in the ocean. Now we come to the part with solution and alternatives. I changed the background so it looks also more cheerful. And at first I wanted to point out that one of the good resources that I used for this part, too soon, is the very good website on the website of Integration Center Prague, which is also very well translated into English, has a, a lovely page about living ecologically and the different ideas that there are. But I wanted to start with the basic principles. Usually when you search it, search kind of basic principles of zero waste or of eco-friendly living, you can have 5 R's. Here I have 7, if I'm counting correctly. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I can't count. Okay, so I have 6 because I kind of combined, I guess, 2 or 3 lists together. The basic ideas are to refuse some things. Here I just wrote plastic. I'm making it, oversimplifying it. It's just not that I will never touch plastic in my life again, but let's say refuse overconsumption of plastic, or refuse kind of that I don't care what's it packaged and where it comes from. I'm just buying it because I want it. It's kind of refusing this this attitude, you could say, and instead thinking with awareness. Someone wrote the word awareness in our kind of association cloud at the beginning. I would say this is kind of refuse not buying things with awareness, and instead think about where things come from, who produced them, how are they produced, and what kind of impact they have on the environment. Then the next step, reduction. So reduction of anything that's single use, reduction of anything that could has a very negative effect on the environment. Again, this could be a lot of things depending on what your lifestyle is right now. So if you're, for example, already a minimalist and now you're trying only to make it more eco-friendly, you could say I have reduced as much as I can. But if you have a lot of things and you're trying kind of thinking what to keep, what to get rid of, what to replace, then this could be an important step for you. Reuse is a very one of my favorite R's, you could say, because this is one of the most fun ones. So either buying or kind of reusable tools, or renting reusable things from libraries. I will talk about Library of Things in Prague, about the actual library, getting things secondhand. It's always more eco-friendly to reuse something that has already been produced than to buy something completely brand new. Even if the thing that you're reusing isn't so ecological or so sustainable, the fact that it already exists and you're reusing it and you're kind of using the value that it has is, you could say, eco-friendly. And to add a point to that, or using things that you already own is the most eco-friendly thing that you can do. So it's not kind of the idea which I also fell into this trap myself in the beginning, that now I'm a zero waste person, I will get rid of everything and I will buy all these nice fancy things that are not made of plastic. That's not the point. The point is to try to think about the things that you have already and how to reuse them. And if they break or you lose them or something, then you buy the zero waste alternative or the reusable one. But only if you don't have the other ones. So for example, I never got on the board with the bamboo kind of cutlery because I thought, well, I can just take the cutlery that I have at home, like the metal cutlery, and that's fine. I mean, bamboo is maybe like less heavy, which is nicer to not when one carries it around. But yeah, if you have cutlery at home, then you don't have to have a fancy bamboo knife or something. So yeah. That. Repair is also a fun one. Repairing clothes, sewing, repairing your shoes instead of buying new ones. This is of course tricky because now we are used to kind of buying shoes And these shoes are often not of high quality, or it depends, because sometimes you just can't buy the most expensive, even though they're durable shoes. And then when you go to the shoemaker and ask them how much it would cost to fix this, you can find out that it costs more than the new pair of shoes. Then it's more difficult, but yeah. But another point, repairing, also furniture, electronics, we'll talk about that. Recycling, if there is not an alternative usage for upcycling, so for example, using plastic, different products to create something better, something new. So out of, I saw that someone sew a bag, like a nice bag out of old plastic, I don't know, packaging for candies or something. So this could be an example of upcycling. And then last one is ROT, so individual or community compost, and yeah, separating bio-waste, that's very important. So zero waste shops. There were, I think, about 1/3 of you, a bit less than 1/3 of you who are going to regular customers in zero waste shops. So those already know quite a lot. For those who are not familiar, in zero waste shops, there is food, drinks, and drugstore products that you can buy unpackaged, very often unpackaged or in a packaging that's compostable, usually, or that's more durable. They try to source their kind of the food and the drinks and everything that they offer, that it's organic, that it's local, that it's healthy. And therefore, in order to buy things in there, usually so it's manageable, you should take your own textile bags, glass jars, etc. However, you can also, many people also donate glass jars. So it is also quite possible that one can come in and then just pick up a couple of these jars that someone else left there, or even like if it's a sturdy plastic kind of box, then that's good enough too. And to buy things to go in there. Yes. Then there is kind of what's different from just going into a traditional supermarket or traditional shop, is that usually you're asked to weigh your container. So there's a scale somewhere in the corner, or usually somewhere near the entrance, where you can weigh your containers. Every shop has a different way how they do it. So unfortunately, there's not like a unified script to this, but usually you just, you click a couple of things and it prints out a label, and either on the label it says the kind of the weight of your container, or it has a barcode that's gonna be scanned at the checkout, and it will kind of only weigh the things that are inside of the container, not with the container. Yes. Here is a photo of a new new zero waste shop in Florence. Now I'm not sure how, when exactly it opened, but it wasn't quite up in the Instagram feed of Bezobal, so I think it was quite recent. And you can see it was very recent because it's Corona times. So if someone's very good at noticing stuff and sees that the bread is, for example, packaged in paper and plastic bags, yeah, Corona is making things more complicated, and we're kind of different shops are trying to make it more hygienic so people still can go and buy there. So we shouldn't brief on the breads, so they package them, and in order to see what kind of bread it is, there is a plastic opening in there. Yeah, it's not perfect. I hope it goes away very soon. And yeah, and that's another thing actually that I also saw, that in this new shop, not only you're asked to weigh your own container, but if you go in there and you put something in the container, you should then weigh it also, and you should also mark what it is, which is one thing is that it's more kind of then easier for the checkout, because the person at the checkout can just scan the 2 or 3 codes. And if you have one big container and you want to take For example, here's chocolate, so 3 types of different chocolate. You can fill it up with different 3 types, and you can also always weigh it according to, when you put in one type, you weigh it and you put it on, put on the label. So you can combine things in one container, which is good. Yes. One of my favorite shops is actually Bezobalovi Jelen. It's in Nusla, where I used to live, and it's a very tiny zero waste shop, but I really like the owner. He's very optimistic. I think he knows English as well. He's quite young. Unfortunately, he has his page and like Instagram only in Czech, but there are some of the pics are in English for some reason, which is interesting. So I think it should be accessible also to people who don't master Czech, and but I really recommend it. And it's his first shop that he opened up quite recently, and I think it was just after the first lockdown or something, so I really want to support him. So if you want to check it out, there you go. And then I will just, before we have a break, we should have a break already. So there's a map, it's called Mapa Reduka. And there you have a map of Prague, also not only of Prague, but also of Prague, where you have different zero waste shops and shops that have zero waste possibilities marked. So you can check your possibilities according to this map. According to where you live, so you don't have to go to a different part of Prague when you have something maybe behind the corner. And it also shows farmer markets. I presume they are not happening right now in Prague, but when they shall, then that will be also a good resource. And I just wanted to say that there are also shops such as, I don't know, Country Life or other shops that have like parts of the shops are zero waste. So one doesn't have to go to a pure zero waste shop to do zero waste shopping. So the next section is food. Food, where can we buy food? We can buy obviously in supermarkets and normal shops, and also in zero waste shops, farmers markets. And this is one of the things that's the easiest to buy non-packaged, also when it's in a supermarket, because very often you can just find apples without any, and then there you could either pick up the plastic bag or have your own. There's of course a question of what kind of bags do you like using? Do you like using cotton bags? The thing with cotton bags for me is sometimes that they are difficult to clean, especially if they're kind of untreated cotton. It stains very easily. So for example, now I'm using these kind of plastic mesh bags, which are really easy to clean. And it's kind of like compostable plastic. I mean, compostable plastic has its own problems, but because I'm reusing them and I plan to reuse them until they break, I found it much more sustainable solution than the cotton bags, which I find myself not bringing to the shop because they're a bit cumbersome. So yeah, there are different opinions. And these bags are Frusak, it's called. I can then write it in the chat if someone wants to look them up. I enjoy them. I like them. They are easy to clean. That's the biggest point. And they're also light, so there isn't the problem that you're buying a certain weight of apples, and then you're also buying the weight of the cotton bag, for example. Yes, back to the point. So food, there's the question that I already kind of started answering with what's the most important criterion that one should look for when buying food. Should it be that it's locally grown? Should it be that it's seasonally? Should it be that it's organic, or that it's fair trade? So this is obviously something that one has to consider by oneself, because it's also a question of money, of the availability of time. So if someone has the opportunity to cook more, it's easier to buy a lot of basic products and then cook something by oneself than someone who has, let's say, family to take care of and doesn't have much time to spend in the kitchen. Then that person could prefer to have something that's already pre-made. So these are the individual factors. But so far, for example, what I use right now is that if I'm buying something that's grown within Europe, then I'm trying to look whether it's organic, because it means that it has less of a negative and hopefully positive effect on the environment, that it is not many pesticides or insecticides, so chemical things that sprayed on plants are not used. Therefore, this is something I look for. Also, whether it's local. So if I see, for example, tomatoes that are organic but are from Spain, then I prefer to buy the local ones, even though that they might not have the organic kind of sign. And the best thing I've read recently on Instagram of, I think, Sustainably Vegan, which is one of the creators that I really like and enjoy and follow, is that seasonal might be sometimes the most important, or perhaps should be one of the most important criteria, because when it's seasonal, it's also grown most easily, or something is in season, then there is not much it doesn't have to be grown in greenhouses, for example. So even though it might be a season in a different country or in a different part of the world, it's good to buy a piece of fruit or a vegetable when it's in season, rather than when it's not in season, because then it's grown in greenhouses with a lot of different factors to it that are making it less sustainable. Yes, and fair trade. That's kind of more focus on that the people who are producing these products have been paid well, that human rights are respecting and such. And to that, I kind of say that when I buy these things from other continents, you could say, and especially if they are kind of luxury products, so like coffee and chocolate or bananas, then I try to buy them fair trade. With bananas, it's more difficult. I don't know why, but it's hard to find fair trade bananas. But right now, it's quite easy to find, at least maybe here, but I think in Prague, it should be quite easy as well to find fair trade coffee and fair trade chocolate. So, for example, I would advocate for that. Yes. I didn't mention actually that behind every link you can see a like CZ for Czech or ENG for English. Why did I put that behind every link? Because I wanted to let you know that if you already know some Czech, or rather the other way, if the link that I saw has an English version, then I put English in, that it's also accessible to people who don't speak Czech. And if there is only Czech, that means they have no Czech, they have no English version of the website, and you might need the help of a Czech person or a translator to get through it. And to use the website. So that's only for this information, but yeah. So here the two links that are in Czech, Svět Bedínek and Svobodný statek, are websites. The first is a website where you can order you could say a box of fresh produce from locally grown seasonal fresh produce. So you pay, let's say the small box is about 300 crowns, and you get about 6 kilos of fresh produce. And this is, you could say, good because you're supporting local and seasonal, so local farmers, you're buying seasonal food, and it's kind of like direct trade without the middleman of the supermarket or a different market. So this could be one of the things that if you're interested in supporting and you have the means possible to support a local, local farmers, that could be an interesting idea for you. Then there is a specific one, Svobodný statek, that's organic and not only organic, they also have different signs, but organic farm, where you can do something like a subscription service that you subscribe for the whole kind of summer for 6 months. And then every week or every 2 weeks, depending on the, you could say, subscription, you get a box full of fresh produce. So that's also a possibility. And these are something that I would like also to be part of. I haven't yet, but I have been helping out in a similar kind of network here in Germany. And yeah, seems to be cool. Another point is food waste. That's a big topic by itself. Avoiding food waste in the kitchen is really important. Not buying too much, being able to eat everything. You buy, kind of taking care of the food so that it doesn't go bad quickly, or sharing it with people when there's too much of it. There are different possibilities to it. Of course, that could be a whole presentation by itself. Here, I just wanted to point out a very cool NGO, non-profit organization in Czech called Zachrání jídlo v kuchyni, which in English is something like Rescue Food in the Kitchen. And they also have an English page. I think it has only kind of like the about pages in English, if I remember correctly, but it's really cool. And they also published a book with recipes which kind of are useful with preventing food waste. And these recipes, some of these recipes, I'm not sure whether all of them are on their website. However, if I remember correctly, they're all in Czech. But maybe this could be a quite easy thing to just put into the translator and try some of these recipes out. Another point is home compost or community compost. So composting food is one of the, or food scraps to be precise, is one of the best things you can do actually for reducing your waste that you're putting into the bin, because that's one of the biggest kind of parts of the waste that we produce. Especially if you start buying more zero waste things, it's truly gonna be the majority of your waste. It's gonna be very likely organic waste. And so having a home compost is a good idea. This is easier, obviously, if you have a garden or a balcony, because then you have somewhere to put it in. However, there are also composting options to have in the flat that you can look into. Or if the idea doesn't appeal to you, then there's community compost. For that are these two maps. The first one, Mapko, is in English, and I wrote English and Czech because the site is a weird combination of English and Czech. So I hope you can get through it. But so there's both languages present, and it's a map of community gardens, composters, and other places. And I find it really cool. And then there's a company called Kokoza, which is in, there's whole pages only in Czech, but they did before Corona, they did workshops in Spokoje do Pokoje, which is a organization which I will be talking about later as well. They do different workshops, and there you could make your own vermicompost, which means kind of a box with compost where there are worms inside, and these worms are the active composting agents, you could say. And so you don't have it's kind of quicker than the compost where you only have food scraps, because the worms are eating and changing it faster. And also, it just works. I've heard good reviews about it. I haven't tried it out myself. I'm moving way too much for owning a compost right now. But this could be, if you're living long-term in Prague, it could be something that you could be interested in. Then yes, that's a possibility. So to the topic of bathroom and cleaning products, zero waste bathroom and cleaning products, this is such a big topic that it was really difficult for me to write this slide and have something useful to say, because I think this could be way too simple or so basic for someone who already is on the way. But at the same time, to go deeper into it it would require a lot of space. So I'll try to do my best. But bathroom and cleaning products, one can get again in zero waste shops. Also Country Life, which is probably, you know, one of the networks of kind of more the shops that are trying to offer more local organic products, and they have been kind of introducing different zero waste options in there, and also bathroom products or like cleaning products that you can come with your own thing and fill it up. Yes. And otherwise, the basics like bamboo toothbrush instead of a plastic toothbrush, toothpaste tablets instead of toothpaste in a plastic tube, cotton rounds that are kind of like reusable cotton rounds for if you're using makeup and you want to clean your face. This can be something also that can be upcycled. If you have an old t-shirt, then you could like use that to actually like cut out. I've seen I think on one of the Instagrams, now I'm not sure which one, but it might be the Instagram either of Bezobol or Instagram of one of the secondhand shops of Moment, but I will come back to it, that you can like cut out circles, like 2 circles with from the t-shirt, and then like fill it with something, and then like sew it, or even don't fill it, or just sew it around, and then you have like a cotton round that you can use to wash your face. Yeah, so that's a cool idea. I bought one from a zero waste shop, and I don't use it that much because I don't wear makeup, but it's cool. Yes, in general, reusing old jars or spray bottles for cleaning products. I recommend in general for this section to just go to the YouTubers that I shall reference at the end, because they have very good in detail, and one can see it in the video, which is always easier than just to talk about it theoretically, that one can use lemon and baking soda and vinegar to like clean most things, and that's enough. There is like not much complexity to it. One can also DIY the other things, and also DIY once deodorant. I haven't done it, but I want to. And then shampoo bars instead of a liquid shampoo in a plastic bar. This is something I've been using for a long time. I'm trying to remember, but over a year, I think, at least. If you can see my arrow, then I am using actually this shampoo bar from Bezobalo. It's my favorite one. It's tea tree oil. And yeah, here on this picture from the Instagram of Bezobalo, there are different like zero waste options of washing your hair, different shampoo bars, soap bars. There's even an egg, one of the kind of more old school methods. I haven't tried it. If you care for experiment, you can as well. Yes, this is for the menstruating people in the room, I guess. But an important topic, because it's also a great source of waste, especially plastic waste and waste that can't be really recycled. There is no way to recycle it but to burn it, which is the best thing, I guess, to do it so it doesn't float into the ocean. But different alternatives can be again bought in zero waste shops, and now quite a number of drugstores. So DMs and Rossmann, at least. Not sure whether it's the same in Prague. I think yes, but here in Germany, for example, the Rossmann has like 5 different types of silicone menstrual cups that one can buy. So now I think it's becoming more and more available. A menstrual cup, a silicone menstrual cup, is something that one can buy and use instead of like tampons or pads. And yeah, I think the best thing that one can do is watch a video about the topic. I use it and been using it for a long time, and yeah, I love it. And another another alternative is period underwear. So It's reusable. Here you can see a comparison from the Instagram of Snugs, which is a Czech company. So this is a local product as well, who produce period underwear. And here you can see the yearly consumption of kind of like the production of waste, comparison of period underwear and disposable tampons. And you can use it also in combination with period menstrual cup. I mean, so have a cup and the underwear as well. Another Czech company that I've heard about is Petite Lulu, and both of them have English versions of their website. When it comes to clothing, clothing is also a very exciting topic. Here I shall mention the swap. So a swap is an event where people bring things they don't need, and they can take anything that other people bring and they need or want. Usually this is organized around the topic of clothes. So most people bring clothes and take clothes, but very often there are also other things that are exchanged. And here I kind of break down the options. So let's say you need clothing or you want new clothing, what can you do? So you can organize a swap party, which I call as well. Now with Corona, it's difficult, but let's say if you live with your family, it could actually work. So instead of having exchanging presents for a birthday or a holiday, you can organize a swap party where people who would come to the party or come to the event, instead of bringing the present, they bring clothes that they don't need anymore, or that are too big or too small, and then exchange them. And what doesn't get exchanged can be then donated to a charity shop. I have done it for about 2 or 3 years for birthdays, and I've loved it. It's one of my favorite things to do, to be honest. And yeah, I always get new cool stuff and then get to donate to one of my favorite charity shops. So for me, a perfect mix. Another perfect opportunity is to go to a public swap. Pre-Corona times, this was a very popular event on Facebook. So very likely this is gonna be, I hope, after as well. So just typing in swap into search bar on Facebook and you should get a lot of events, very often also in English, like with English translation. And there is also a web page that I found, NaiDeSwap. I can also write it, but I'm not sure whether this one is kind of like a new one, which is trying to bring all these events, swap events, to one website or not. Yes, and here I'm recommending the kind of like a co-working space, SwietHub. SwietHub. Yeah, that's like a what's it, word joke. Well, anyway, which has an English web page, as you can see, and they have organized, or they have been the place where a swap was organized a couple of times in the past, and I have enjoyed them, although they usually come with an entrance fee for the organizer, so they can like rent the space and organize people to sort the clothes and stuff. So it's not completely for free, but it's still cool. They always had good food. Yay. So another opportunity, I'm gonna drink something because I'm getting dry throat, is free shops, which are kind of like a shop where you can just bring anything and take anything, but it's a place. So, but there aren't many places around Prague there that have free shops, but usually it's kind of some kind of like community space. Or in such a community space, you can have free exchange place. So for example, I work now at a community house here in Germany, and near the entrance, we just have a corner where there's one wardrobe and a couple of hangers and a desk, and there people can bring clothes and take clothes, bring things and exchange books, anything, and it works wonderful. I found so many interesting things in there, and I kind of donated many things, and I think it's such a useful thing. And I think this could also work if you are working in some kind of office space and you happen to have a corner free where people could exchange things, perhaps it could be a cool thing to organize. Just an idea. Another source of clothes are obviously secondhand and charity shops. Especially, I shall be mentioning some of the charity shops that are my favorite. If you want to buy something completely new, then another possibility is slow or sustainable fashion. In Prague, one of my favorite places to buy slow fashion is Green Boutique in Smíchov. And I forgot to add, but I think they have also an English version of the website. Yeah, and then another point to look at is whether it's made from organic cotton and whether it's fair trade, which can also be important. At least these are also important for me. But obviously, if it's organic and fair trade and slow fashion, then it's very pricey. So right now I buy a minimum of things. Sorry, in this category. So most of the things that I own are secondhand right now. Secondhand charity and repair shops. So when you have things, what do you do with them? You can, and things that you don't need. Resell them. So there is a Czech website, Nevyhazujto, which is a version of eBay, you could say. As far as I know, I haven't used it, where you can just resell things. So that's a possibility. Another possibility is flea markets. So there's a website, blešitrhy.cz, which has an English version of the website, which was surprising to me, but they do. And yes, it just means in Czech flea markets, and there you can sign up and resell things or go to find very cool stuff. And I've even seen that they have some planned in like April after the 12th or something. So that could be cool. Another option is to repair or upcycle. If you have something that you don't need or is broken. Another website, Opravárna, it's in Czech again, and there you can fix almost anything, it seems, or get informed that something would cost way more than necessary to fix, and therefore you should get a new thing. Another very cool project is Spokoje do pokoje, which is a very cool space where they organize workshops, DIY workshops, and where they fix furniture and make bags and upcycle. And they have a wonderful Instagram account, so you can check that out if you want. And there were also at least 2 swaps that I went to were in Spokoje do pokoje, and they also had have workshops, or had before Corona, how to make your own like backpack and how to make a kokedama plant, like this Japanese hanging plants. Yeah, it's really cool. Or if you have something that you don't need, you can donate to shops, to charity shops such as Surrider, who support senior homes in Prague, not only in Prague, but the Prague ones. Very, very nice people. One of my favorite secondhand shops or charity shops, to be specific, is Surrider near the Wenceslav Square, Václavské náměstí. Yeah, I don't remember the street now, but you can probably find it. Then Moment, which is a secondhand shop. You can see the photo here is from this shop. There I was very often, and when I had the swap parties and something stayed from the swap party, then I donated it to Moment, because Moment supports different types of organizations around the world from their kind of the money that they get through selling these clothes. And this Moment is near Náměstí Míru. Yeah, and there is another Moment which is in the kind of in the vicinity, but that's not a second-hand shop, but that's a vegan restaurant. But that vegan restaurant is also very good. So if you don't know it, it's very good, and yeah, I would recommend that too. Another second-hand shop and charity shop as well is Przestupni Stanice, which also has an English website, and it's a second-hand shop that supports people without home. Yeah, and they seem to be really cool. Oh yeah, this is a graphic to the Spokoje do Pokoje. So you can see what they do, that they have a reuse center and a shared workshop. And yeah, here you can see how they make a broken old chair very fancy. Here, something more kind of abstract, something that when you think about more about low impact living, that it tries to, instead of thinking in linear economy, so kind of the traditional way of plastic, you could say, resource extraction, that we get the crude oil from underground, we produce the plastic, we redistribute plastic, so we sell it in different plastic products. We consume it, so someone buys the plastic product and then it goes to the bin, waste in landfill. It has a beginning, it has an end, this process. It means that we still need the new resources at the beginning, and there's a lot of waste at the end. We're trying to change this, and one of the alternatives is a circular economy, where the production and the end is a kind of one cycle. So recycling is really important, repairing is very important, reusing is really important, and kind of thinking about how we can make everything into a loop. And an example of this kind of an organization that deals with this is the Institute of Circular Economy, which is in Campus Hybernska. Campus Hybernska is a really cool place. And there we had the swap that we organized together with Vercia. And it's kind of like a student dormitory place. There's lots of festivals, or before Corona, there were festivals and events happening. And there was there's a library of things where you can rent things, such as sewing machines, or if you want to go camping, you can rent a tent there. There's so many interesting things. Right now, I think it doesn't work because of Corona. And also Cirkularni Gilna, which is another kind of repair workshop. It has only the website in Czech, but it's quite cool. And then the municipal library also, not only that you can kind of borrow books, but you can also borrow board games. And they also are trying to expand their services, make them also more English friendly, and hopefully also they should also have some circular economy projects going on. And to make this kind of more, more concrete, because these are very two abstract kind of ideas. Linear economy, one of the examples could be a Keep Cup, which is one of the kind of fancy zero waste things to buy, you could say. Maybe it's not anymore, but it was at least 2 years ago, I feel. I have one. And so Keep Cup is a cup that you can buy instead of buying a to-go cup. So you go to a coffee bar, especially now during Corona, you can get only coffee to go. So you get a coffee cup. It's a non-reusable one-time coffee cup, which is made of paper from the outside, and it's lined with plastic on the inside, so the liquid doesn't allow, which makes it practically impossible to recycle, and therefore it's quite damaging to the environment. And let's say if you drink a coffee a day like this to go, or even more, then you have a quite negative impact on the environment. You are filling up the landfill, your part in the landfill quite fast. So, and possibility how to change this is to buy a Keep Cup. A Keep Cup is a reusable to-go cup where you can get coffee to go. There are different ways. There's like completely plastic one from a durable plastic, or you can get this glass one with a nice cork band. And this is an example of linear economy because it's, again, someone produces it, someone buys it, you use it until it breaks or until you don't like it, and then you, hopefully you don't throw it into the bin. You can try to throw it into, glass or plastic, recycle it or pass it on. But it's, again, kind of linear from the production to the use to the eventual disappearance into the landfill, I guess. A circular thinking, or a more kind of like holistic thinking, is an initiative called Otočka Limek, which I heard and I find it really cool, which is that you can go to buy a coffee. You have an option to have this coffee to go in this blue or pink cup, and you buy it with 50 crowns for the cup. And this is kind of like a in Czech záloha. Now I can't remember the English word. Anyway, so you get the 50 crowns back when you come back. So, and the idea, so you get the coffee, blue cup, you enjoy it, and then next time when you come for a new coffee, you bring the old cup and you give it back. Or if you you take the blue cup with you, and then you go around the city and you see a different coffee bar that also uses these blue coffee cups, and you give it back and you get 50 crowns back. And the idea is that these cups are continually used, that people are kind of using them between each other. It's not that each person buys a keep cup and then they take it around and each one has an individual keep cup. But this allows people that less cups are shared in use by more people. And also these, because they are from one type of material, they are easy to recycle. They're easier to renew, you could say. And you could say it's an interesting alternative. And recently they also introduced the project of Rekrabička, which is the same idea, but with a to-go box with food. And again, they're kind of expanding the network. You can look at their Instagram of Otočka Limek. It's only in Czech, but you can see the different coffee bars, let's say, that are part of the initiative, and then you can go to these coffee bars if you want. So, recycling system in Prague, I just wanted to mention that quickly, that actually the recycling system in Prague is really good. It's really varied, and that's really cool, that you have paper, you have drinking cartons, so like Tetra Pak packs that you use for like milk and different types of juice and stuff. Then plastic, then electro stuff. There's also a separate like tiny compartment for batteries. Usually white and green glass is separate, or white and colored glass is separate, and then aluminum is separate. And some parts also have bio kind of waste where you can put organic stuff. Unfortunately, not everywhere, but it's also a possibility. And I just wanted to show this map, that on this map, you can find the different types. You can see in which places in Prague, which types of containers are. So maybe by your house, there's only like 3 basic ones. So like the paper, plastic, glass, but another street, down the street, there could be also like 3 other types. So you can also recycle those. And then I wanted just to very quickly mention the Facebook group Zero Waste International Prague, where you can become a part of, and there are like loads of cool tips and everything in English, so that's very accessible. Then Instagrams of Zero Waste shops are a very cool place to get to know new stuff, what's happening, especially the Instagram of Bezobolu. If I'm not mistaken, it should be in both languages. There's a Zero Waste Festival in Prague that took place 2 years ago, I think. I'm not sure whether last year as well. But that's also a cool event to look out for. And there's also a slow fashion fest called Slow. But both of these I found on the resources in Czech. But that's a cool thing that could be happening in the future. Yeah, this is a longer quote from Guterres about the fact that demonization of plastic is not the thing that zero waste people or like zero wasters should be focusing on, but I found it quite inspiring. You're gonna get the presentation, so you can see it later. But here I just wanted to kind of point out my sources of inspiration, like further sources. Shel Bizzle has a wonderful YouTube channel. She's based in the United States, but she has very many useful tips, and she has a very good video about her zero waste period routine. Then Kristen Leo has a very thought-provoking, longer form videos about kind of more deep topics around zero waste and kind of secondhand fashion, and because this is her topic. Then here in the corner is Ecosia, which I love to promote. Ecosia, it's a search engine that plants trees. It's kind of like, you could say, Google, but instead of the fact that it's just Google collecting your data, Ecosia is using the money that it gets from ads for growing, for supporting different local projects around the world that plant trees. So I adore them. And they have a very cool YouTube channel and even cool podcast. I really would recommend it. It's in English, and the sound in the podcast is so cool. They bring you to the different projects around the world. They have very cool, interesting interviews with people. So if you're into podcasts, I would definitely recommend it. And another already mentioned a YouTuber is Sustainable Vegan, also great source of inspiration.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much. All right. I think we can say good night to everyone here. And I really hope to see you again soon, hopefully at one of our offline events this time, because I think we've all had enough of online. And all the more thank you for being a part of tonight, because yeah, I can imagine that all of us are kind of tired of the online world. So we appreciate that most of you stayed with us for more than 2 hours now. So yeah, thanks a lot. We appreciate it, and we wish you a lot of health and a very nice evening. So bye.
Bye.